Hi, good afternoon, it's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Hope you're all doing well. Well, let's get into it, shall we? I said it would be easy pickings. All you have to do is type in, the recent month that we're in right now, November, and add to that floods and Google search, and you're going to come up with flood after flood after flood in different parts of the world. We're looking here, someone opening the front door, watching cars go by, and some of them very rudely going by at more than what they should be in speed terms, and just causing wakes of water to go through people's doors. But it's not just in towns and streets like this around the world. In some cases, in underdeveloped countries, people are up to their waist, and we are going to start seeing a lot more of this as the time goes on. All you have to do is a quick search, and you'll find flood after flood after flood in different parts of the world. Some of you may say, oh, it's the time of the year, but it's not just the time of the year. Records are being broke around the world. And it's largely because of these, the jet streams on our planets. Now, if you're a meteorologist or a scientist of any, natural foundation of natural sciences, just tell me, explain to me, where is the polar jet stream and where is the subtropical jet stream? And where is the distinction between the two? This is a new anomaly on our planet. Probably 15, 20 years now. It started to creep in. Now it is the new norm. And what we see around the world is no longer a polar jet stream at 60 degrees north, and a subtropical at 30 degrees, and same over the southern hemisphere. What we have are super jet streams that, intermingle and just break up, and where that happens just depends on where the next flood's going to be, where the next drought's going to be, where the next sub-zero temperatures are going to creep very close to that equatorial region in some cases, and wipe out crops and kill cattle. That's what we've been witnessing, and this is the very food bowl that feeds the world that we live in. There are 7 billion people on this planet, and we're just starting to see the struggling effects of being able to maintain continuity for that amount of people on our planet. It isn't going to last much longer if the trend of climate chaos continues. It's not global warming, guys. If you look at the Antarctic and Arctic ice packs, you'll see that they're both growing. This is something else. This is probably most likely down to the anomaly that we follow very closely here on our observatory, and that is the magnetic pole migration, and another hindering synchronicity, probably event that is also occurring, which is the grand solar minimum, because both of them allow the same thing to increase, and that is cosmic radiation. I say every time in every video, we've got a shrinking heliosphere due to lack of solar activity, and at the same time we have a weakening magnetosphere, probably to the tune already of 20% less than what it should be, or what we was accustomed to enjoying only a few decades ago. So things are changing very quickly on our planet, and when you look at the ancestors, the very first early settlers of cities in our world, you'll see that these cities are no longer occupied. The Incas are no longer there occupying their cities that they created. The Mayans are no longer there. The Egyptians are no longer there in we could argue with the Egyptians. The Egyptians are there, but nowhere near as greater people as what built the monuments that still stand today. You don't see the Egyptians building anything like it anymore, and things have definitely changed there. We can go over to the South African continent, and talk about those historical sites there, and likewise here in the UK. Thing is, I believe that the climate system on our planet is very fluid, and we might become accustomed to settling in a particular area, but I think what our ancestors found out is that was not sustainable, and that you need to migrate in order to keep flourishing with food supplies and stuff like that, because the climate changes at different locations on the earth. You might enjoy for 30, 40, maybe 60 years, 100 years, a particular climate in an environment, but that changes. And proof of that is what we witness here today with the changing of the jet streams, delivering flash floods to places now that can no longer grow crops in water-filled fields, simple as that. And it's becoming very difficult for people and inhabitants of cities to do likewise. I've always said, guys, a city is an artificial environment. It is heavily reliant on what we take into it, and not just in terms of energy, fresh water, removing sewerage out of the city, but also bringing in those all-important necessities like food supplies into the city. When that ceases to happen, the city decays, and we're in the very early beginnings, I believe, of watching major cities collapse and decay. If we turn to America, but not just focus on America, because it is the same around the world, but just to mention a couple of cities which are decaying right now, and I believe even the residents of those cities would agree with me that, residents in New York, perhaps San Francisco, where Silicon City is, and on the back of all what's been happening this year, has just been increasing the velocity of what is taking place in those cities and decaying them even more. People can't get jobs that sustain mortgages now in San Francisco that allows them to buy, £2 million house. There are a lot of properties in San Francisco and the surroundings of Silicon Valley that warrant that amount of money. They can no longer get jobs to afford to live in that city, and therefore they are moving out the city. Those that have got jobs still in the city are commuting back in there in order to keep a living going. But it's the same around the world. We are seeing cities become bankrupt, and the powerhouse of manufacturing is decaying and becoming, in a lot of these Western countries now, just service based. What the idea of this video is to bring you to the understanding that things are changing. And I want to just say, it's not just the natural things that are changing, it is also human behaviour, and you've got to expect that as it becomes harder for people to get on in this world, then they are going to have to adapt. And in some respects it is becoming more tempting for people to behave more corrupt. And this, as we have read in the Bible, and it's by no coincidence that the Bible says every time there is corruption, wickedness at an alarming rate on this earth, then we approach times which have been promised and have already been fulfilled in the book of prophecies of, very bleak outlooks. Let's say that, just for instance. Let's not go into the doom and gloom of Armageddon. I don't think we need to do that. We just need to understand what that Bible was telling us about attitudes and behaviours, to understand that that is the behaviour that destroys, cities, countries, and so on and so forth. And we are there right now, and if you do not see it, you need to remove your head from the sand or take the blinkers off, because we are now being encouraged to tell the police on our neighbours, when they are not self-isolating, or if they are not abiding by the rules. They're asking us to ring them up and notify them so that we govern ourselves. Can you believe that? Can you believe the way our world's going? And even despite one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness on our neighbour, we still see the encouragement from the wicked and corrupt governments asking us to do that very thing. It's nothing short of massive infringements on beliefs and freedoms of religion that we're witnessing right now. But in turn, that is just the human aspect of it. We also have the other aspect of it, and we are part of that. I'm talking about nature. You can't deny the fact that we are part of nature, and if we say that we're not, then we are that one person in the room full of 1,000 human beings that are trying to declare to everybody else that we're not human, and everybody is laughing at us because we are trying to declare that we're not human. That is like saying you're not part of nature. And the reason why I even talk about this is because if we believe that we're not part of nature and we are not going to affect nature, then we're very naive. Because once we establish the fact that we are part of something, part of a system, if we begin to change in that system, then we also affect the system that we're part of. I'm trying to explain it in a way that most of us can understand this. And it shouldn't be too hard to understand that once you grasp the concept that you are part of something, that you know, a lot of us declare we're not. You know, we try and think, oh, because we've got computers, smartphones, laptops, cars, trains, aircraft, we're not part of this, we're different. It's absolutely crazy because, you know, like everything else on this planet, we came from the dust and we will inevitably return to the dust. You know, this earth is a miraculous recycling machine and it is no different from the rest of this universe. Nothing ever goes to waste. It just goes back in the box, and when the box is opened again, something comes out of it, and it's only for a period of time before it goes back in the box. You know, what we need to realise is we are definitely in times of change. It cannot be disputed. And, you know, on the back of COVID-19 and the diseases and everything else that's going on with nature, you know, I think we did it to ourselves at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter if you're a believer, and this is one thing that the mainstream media are trying to convince people now, that this is real. They keep bringing doctors in on the mainstream media saying what people need to understand is that this is real, this is real. Real? I haven't seen one person in any but Nightingale Hospital. Not one. Yet these were the emergency hospitals that we set aside for that. I could go on, guys. I think, you know, you need to listen to people that talk logic sense about these issues, okay? So, first of all, we haven't seen anyone in Nightingale hospitals, the emergency hospitals. Secondly, they say that the numbers of cases of infected people in hospital has outreached the ones that was in March. Yet we knew in March 1,000 people a day, according to the mainstream media, were dying. That number isn't close to that at the moment. Another thing that I can't get my head around, and if you're a biologist or you've studied the science in around them regions, you will know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that they say you can get this time after time after time again, and it isn't just the case if you are, you know, susceptible and suffering with underlying illnesses. They're saying that you can re-get this even if you're healthy, and I have to really raise an eyebrow at that, because you know what? You know, if that was the case, we'd have to have tuberculosis injections every day and all other inoculations that we've had every day or every month to keep it away. But that's not the case. There seems to be something they're telling us about this that is different, and for that reason, in my view, it raises alarm bells. Just something doesn't ring right. You know, if your body has built up an anti-immune system to COVID-19, you shouldn't get it ever again. We know common cold comes about every year, and that's because it changes its strain. So what are they saying about COVID-19? That it's the common cold that is killing people? Are they saying that the reason why they were killing people is because they was ventilating them maybe too early? It was the ventilator that was killing them? Don't you remember, guys, that we heard doctors coming out saying such things? And if you try and find their channels now, they've been blocked. There are a lot of questions to be asked with regards to this COVID-19, but what I will say is that being in part of Europe at the moment, you know, we are all entering this lockdown again, and it is crippling businesses. It is crippling the average folk that go to work and pretty much are the backbone of any country, the working class I'm talking about. And it's fine for these elite, gravy dribbling off their chin team, if you like. You know, they can have lockdown as much as they want. They're not going to stop drinking champagne, you know, going on their luxury liners and aircrafts and things that they've got. It's only going to be us that give up things. And I think it is absolutely rude that they even have the audacity to ask us to give up more at this point in time, where even if it weren't for COVID-19, you know, it would be too much to ask, yet they do. If we are not approaching rapidly a revolution point, then we are definitely going to be going down a road which is going to look a lot like the fascist system of the 1930s and 40s that destroyed literature, banned freedom of speech, destroyed unions. Just thought I'd add that. Guys, we are, you know, desperately now struggling at this observatory to keep, you know, the ends met. You know, one of the worst points of the year for us is the winter, and on top of that we've got this pandemic which is flattening everybody's ability to support this observatory and keep people informed of what we do. And I keep saying this, we're not like any other YouTube channel. You know, we've got equipment in the field, and in the last month every one of our people, our superstars, has delivered their data for you. And you know, we built the equipment and we sent it out there. You know, we track right now every 3 seconds the magnetic north pole position and measure the magnetosphere and magnetic intensities pretty much on every continent on this planet. It requires, and I think it justifies, a bit of support. It's just getting through to people. You know, we can't continue doing it unless we're supported. You know, you can have as much enthusiasm as you want, but if the weight is too big to push on your own, you ain't going to do it. We need more people to step up to the line. It's simple as that. Links are down there, guys. I hope you see where we're going, you know, and you want to support what we do and appreciate what we deliver. But without the support, we're going to disappear, just like those high street stores that you're seeing at the moment go, one by one. We will do the same. Can't do this for nothing at the end of the day, guys, and we need help. So the links are there, guys. Other than that, you take care of your loved ones, know what times you're in, and I'll say what I usually do. You take care, as always. Bye for now.